Welcome to Local SEO Today. I'm Roger Murphy.
And I'm John Vaughn.
We want to welcome you today to our segment. We want to talk to business owners or potential business owners, entrepreneurs. If you're thinking about going into a business, John, we want to talk about ideas or the dream. You started a business 5 years ago now. I've had an independent business myself a number of years ago. Let's talk to people that are thinking about going to business for themselves.
Yeah.
All the factors. Let's go down some of the reasons why people are even thinking about going into business.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons, right? Mm-hmm. Depending on where you're at, and if you have the position and if you have the choice to start a business, right? Okay. But figure out what your real reason is. What's your why? What's the purpose of starting a business? Is it financial reasons? Is it freedom? Is it to help and impact more people? Is it that you have a service that no one else offers? Like, what's your unique selling proposition? Like, what is the true reason? You got to figure out what that is, and see if there's actually a market out there that you can actually generate revenue from. Right? Because a lot of these people who are starting, they don't even do research. They just they had a dream that they've always wanted a restaurant, but did they do their competitive analysis, figure out if there's actually people that need that service or product in your area, right? So
someone may have invented an idea saying, I've got this new idea. It's in marketing, they call it better mousetrap. I've got an idea for something. So there's so many people, we all come to entrepreneurship from a different angle. There are some tips and tricks that certainly with your experience and my experience to offer you as a future business owner, knowing that if one of the reasons you're thinking about it is I want to be my own boss, I want to make more money, those are all that's for sure a great reason. But also know that if you're doing a 9-to-5 job today, it no longer becomes a 9-to-5 job. And this is not to scare you off of it, but if you think you can get away with weekends off and 9-to-5, consider the fact of running your own business.
Yeah, so, as an entrepreneur myself, starting off, it's not uncommon for me to work 16-hour days, 18-hour days, 7 days a week.
Yes.
Right? And it gets very lonely as well because there's, when you're starting off, you don't have the funds to hire people, right? So
you're the people.
You put on all the hats out there. Yep. You're the accountant, the operations person. You're doing the sales account. You're pretty much doing everything, right?
Yes.
So remember that, and do you have that skill set to do it all?
Yes.
Unless you come from some financial backing or you saved a lot of money, then you start a business. It depends on where you're at, right?
So the big picture, you choose, and we're not to discourage anyone from being an entrepreneur and getting into business for yourself, but there's probably a proven method of getting yourself into it that protects the downside, because you don't want to give up your day job.
Yes.
Because I've had enough with my boss. I'm going to do this all on my own.
Yes.
There's ways to approach it. Make sure that you've got the right product, the right service, the right training for it, whatever that is that you're going to bring to market. And they refer to it, John, as a side hustle. But many ways you'll hear, times you'll hear that term. This is the way that you can look to the future and become an entrepreneur, but not risk basically your monthly cash flow.
Exactly. So again, it all depends on your situation, because if you have a spouse that's working full time, you're in a better situation because your daily living expenses are covered with a steady income, right? But if you're at risk and you pretty much put everything aside and you're the only person as an entrepreneur, say you just finished school and you want to start your own business, remember, leaving that day job, that's a lot of money that is paying for your rent and your food and your lifestyle choices, right? So before you do that, maybe see if the business that you're thinking of starting can generate revenue to see if it actually works. So on the side or after hours, see if there is a market for it. See if you can gather some clients, because the worst thing you want to do is give that up and not have a company that actually will pay off.
Exactly.
Right?
I've seen from my experience over the years, lots of entrepreneurs starting up in business, wanting to get going. But being, and listen to the words, it's cash flow. Lack of cash flow cripples a business. That was one of the things that can sink a business or sink a great idea. So if you have to, if cash flow isn't there, you need to have that, or turn your new business or your idea, keep it as a side hustle. Make sure you still have regular income coming in somewhere else, so that the day that the side hustle now is flourishing and growing, and you see that it's a success, and you're now able to scale it, that's when you can walk away from the other one. But cash flow will sink any business in the early days, so be very careful of that.
And the ones that have been very successful as an entrepreneur, what I've seen is they've spent years in that industry, or they've worked in it before starting themselves.
Sure.
So they kind of understand the whole process. They understand what kind of client they want to go after. They've worked with that client and what the need is, right? So then you cater your business to fill that need.
That's right.
So maybe working under someone and getting a feel as to what kind of business they are operating, and make it a little bit more different or unique, or whatever it may be, because people with experience tend to be more successful than the ones that have zero experience and just have an idea.
It's the idea of seeing or bringing up a better mousetrap, a better idea. If you're working for someone, you like the industry, you're seeing, this is what works well, this is successful, but if I was running my own business, here's how I would do it differently. So always be internally, you're learning from what you're doing today, but look to, how could I improve this system? How could I improve the sales intake? How could I improve the customer experience? If you see, there's a gap here from what's going on today to how I could serve the public or the whatever industry you're going after, that's when I might have a viable business. Yeah.
So a lot of the new technology today with apps and computers and software, a lot of people that have been using prehistoric paper entry or data entry that has been very time consuming, if you're able to improve the processes, you have a unique selling proposition. You can streamline the cost, decrease the operating expense, and offer something of more value, right? Reduce the cost in terms of people, and maybe pass that savings on to the customer, right? So there's a lot of things that you can consider. Another thing that you want to consider as an entrepreneur is, if you're not actually prepared, or you don't understand the whole realm of what is required and needed, look at partnering with mentors or coaches, and there's people out there that can help you, right? The city has a lot of little small, medium-sized business enterprise centers. The library has a lot of workshops. There's a lot of events going on in your local area or meetups. Network and talk to people, right? Get out there to see if it is a good fit for you, because it is a very lonely place when you're starting off. But when you get to a point where you're now passing on some of the tasks to other members of your team, when you can afford to, then it becomes a little bit more fun.
Sure. Right? So early days, or even before, just ask yourself those questions. Why do I want to go into business for myself? Am I prepared to put the hours in? Again, easily 100 hours a week you're going to be doing, but it's so valuable, and it's so rewarding when you see if you've taken this idea and you're bringing it to fruition. But in the early days, know that it's going to be tough. There's going to be cash flow issues. You got to, set a marketing budget. You got to figure out how to bring the sales in. So many entrepreneurs haven't figured out, how do I turn this into a money-making venture? So all these things you want to learn. And again, I like the idea of doing it as a side hustle. You don't give up everything. Bring in some cash flow on a regular basis over here. Learn from what you're doing today, and start looking to improve yourself and do it through a side hustle.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people have been watching a lot of these TV shows like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, and it may sound great. However, the questions some of these panelists are asking, like, what's the cost of acquisition?
Yes.
How long do they stay? What's your cash flow? These are the questions you need to be asking yourself as an entrepreneur, because this is what people are looking at when they are looking at acquiring a business, or they are looking for a cash flow business, right? Like, these are things that you really have to consider because, you know, as a business person and an entrepreneur, you need to make sure that whatever you're starting to grow and build, it becomes your, you know, a journey, right?
Yes.
Like you have to make sure what is the end goal of it all too, right? Like plan
Yep.
for it. So.
In that plan, and maybe just to touch on this because it's so important, have or generate or create a business plan. And remember this is one tip for today. If you want to take one tip away, there's a whole bunch of good ones. But banks do not lend with an idea. They lend against business plans. So you've got to show them, this is what I'm planning to do. Here are my projections. You have to bring, if you need money or you're going to be getting investors, they only invest in systems, not in, you know, just a good idea. So have a business plan, generate it, get mentors to help you build that business plan, have them poke holes in it, fill those holes, and you know, you'll be off to the races as an entrepreneur.
And be ready to take criticism.
Yes.
Right? And make sure that you're willing to ingest all that information and, you know, you can use it if you want to, but it's up to you, right? Like make sure you don't just go in without having other people look at what you're trying to grow, right? Like have different opinions, talk to a lot of people, and see if what you have an idea of actually is what direction you really should go for, right? So,
well, great information, John. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks.
And good luck
Thank
to all
you,
entrepreneurs out there. I hope we gave you, and we hope we gave you a couple things to consider on your journey.
Thank you.
Have a good day.